Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
You're listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Nate Manson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 105 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And I'm telling you right now, the name of this show is already, I can tell you, is going to be Thunder, Blunder. Nate Maxon here with you, and of course, joining me, Mr. Archie Mitchell. Archie, welcome to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Kyle Army is here.
It took 105 episodes, but we finally jumped the fucking shark, guys.
Yep.
And here comes Aaron. He's a berserker.
This is all Aaron's fault. This is all Aaron's fault.
Speaking of which, I don't think we ever talked about it on the show. What did everybody think of the Jay and Silent Bob reboot? We never discussed it on the show.
You know what?
I liked him.
I was pleasantly surprised that it kind of kept like that feeling of the old Kevin Smith movies, that it wasn't trying too hard.
Well, that and it was. I was afraid when I first watched it that I was going to get an extremely politically correct Jay and Silent Bob.
Yep.
And then they weren't.
That was my worry. However, the only thing about it was I told my wife after I watched it, I said, man, that is one of the biggest pieces of fan service I've ever seen in my life. Like the entire movie was just fan service. That was it.
Within like the first 5 minutes of the movie, when they fucking show up and they tell them to drop the weapons or Jay drops his pants and he's like, that man has no dick. I was like, oh, we're in for a treat, guys. Like this.
You guys want to hear something totally stupid? I watched that whole movie, and up until the ending credits, I did not know that was Kevin Smith's daughter playing Jay's daughter in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Harley? I'm like, Jesus, she's so big.
And then Jay's daughter plays Ben Affleck's daughter.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you go back, there's a movie that Kevin Smith did. It's called Yoga Hosers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's Harley and it's Johnny Depp's daughter.
Yeah.
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 That's in that.
But she changed so much. I mean, I've listened to this man talk about his daughter for like 12 years.
And Kevin Smith
now
plays
like,
the little sausage man in the fucking...
Those are fucking Nazi sausages.
Yeah, he plays a Nazi sausage.
When they have Bob meet Kevin Smith, I thought that was hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, what? Wait, they're actually going to show them Kevin Smith?
And I love the fact that, like, Kevin Smith is the one writing and directing the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like...
what a nice twist on that one. And
See,
what did everybody?
As I've grown up, though, you know what I feel like?
Oh.
I have grown up and become a man, and I feel like not his fucking like not his persuasion towards young women, but I feel like Ben Affleck's character from Mallrats.
Ah.
Like,
okay.
I just have a shopping agenda. That's all I want you to have. Like, just show up and buy your shit and get the fuck out.
He's
You know
not
what I mean?
wrong,
Like,
though.
I
That
don't
was
want.
the one place I agreed with him.
So
Can we just make the whole episode about Kevin Smith movies?
Kevin Smith. We've done a
That'd be
Kevin.
fun.
We've actually done a Kevin Smith.
Can we do a
episode.
part 2? I mean,
Part
I'm in
2.
for that.
We can log that in for later on.
Nate's
okay.
Dante. Nate's Dante.
I resonate with Dante too. On days I shouldn't be somewhere, I always utter
Yeah.
them. I shouldn't even be here today.
Well, it's just that everything goes wrong.
Right.
Again,
Can anything
I've
go
said-
right?
I think I said it the last time, and I'll say it again. I am just that guy trying to see the fucking sailboat.
Right.
That's it.
You really are.
And everybody else
Is
sees
he
it.
fat and
A
confused?
schooner. A schooner is a sailboat, jackass.
A scooter.
Just
When he
Kyle, you're-
snapped at that
Kyle,
little
you're
girl.
fat and confused. I
When he-
understand that.
When
That
he
would be-
snapped at
You know what? If they ever make a fucking story of my life, like a movie, that's going to be the name of it: Fat and Confused.
Oh, I thought it was going to be trying to find the sailboat, the Kyle Army story.
Well, that's the sequel.
Oh,
You know what I like about donuts? I keep getting older and they still have the same glaze. Anyway, yeah, I just came up with that on the spot. That was
Before-
pretty good, huh?
I like that.
Before we go any further,
That needs to be a T-shirt.
I know I brought up the whole Dirty Dancing thing. I was only like today old when I realized that Matthew McConaughey was older than everybody in Dazed and Confused, and when he said that line, it was wrong.
Raping minors.
Right, but I didn't know when I first watched Dazed and Confused. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." A couple of years later, I'm like, oh, "Okay, he likes high school girls." No big deal. As I got older and I hit like 35, I was like, "Dude, this guy's a fucking pedophile." Wait a minute, what the fuck?
And
I'm
I
like,
just laughed and laughed.
right, I was okay with it. What's going on?
I was offended by his fucking acting.
It's not right, not right, not right.
No.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this week's edition of the show, we are going to be reviewing an episode of WCW Thunder. Now, let me preface this by saying, even back in 2000, I didn't watch Thunder. As a matter of fact, I don't know about you guys, but back during the Monday Night War era, I found Thunder to be the most boring show. I don't know, it was just, the music was boring, the set was boring, it was dark, it was gloomy, it just never seemed to capture
Thunder.
my imagination.
Thunder is like what would have happened if they would have made Nitro 5 hours long.
Yeah.
It was that extra 2 hours you didn't want to see.
Right.
I
You know what I
watched.
mean?
I
Yeah.
watched back then. I watched
I did too.
WCW. I watched WWE. Matter of fact, I got Slamboree 2000 is 4 days away from this show,
Mhm.
Yep.
and I watched Slamboree 2000 as it happened live that night.
Yep.
And the way that this happened was because I did not buy this piece of shit. Let's just say that somehow magically we gained possession of a magic little card that allowed us to gain access to pay-per-views.
Oh, I remember that magic little card everybody
Yeah.
in the early 90s and late 90s had. Yeah.
And I still overpaid for this fucking show.
Right. They told you that card would pay for itself, not when it was Slamboree 2000.
So the show we're going to be reviewing tonight is it's Thunder from May 3rd, 2000. Before we do that, I want to make an announcement. We are going to be adding another podcast to our family of podcasts, whether it be the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the Asylum Wrestling podcast, the Motley Soup podcast, the Criminal Wind podcast. I am proud to announce that we are also going to be reliving ECW
Ooh,
on the 2300 podcast.
awesome.
That is going to feature ECW star and past guest of the show, Chad Austin, will be with us every single week. We are going to chronicle ECW. So we're going to watch ECW chronologically. We're going to do an episode a week.
ECW.
And you know, I mean, you think about it, this could be what, a 7-year-long show if we do this all the way through. But yeah, we're going to start in 1990. What's that?
Guess who else will be there?
Aaron will be there too.
The greatest host of all time. I have a question, real quick, before we get into this WCW Blunder pay-per-view or what show or what the fuck it is. Where's my royalties, Nate?
Well, you bought your own shirt, so what you paid? You're going to pay yourself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I bought a shirt, but if somebody buys a mug, how much money do I get?
Nothing.
Do you want me to share the 15 cents I get with him?
Yeah, you can if you want.
All right. You want
but
7.5
there's
cents?
There's a coin shortage though.
Right.
All I'm going to say about this, guys,
I feel like Jesse the Body Ventura right now.
My shirt has the sleeves cut off of it, and it has a front and back graphics.
I am pretty proud of creating that shirt.
I love your shirt.
I think the Sleeveless Army. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Nate's like
Kyle had a shirt. Kyle has a shirt.
Nate's like,
sir.
you want to see Kyle's shirt? I'm like, yeah, let me see it. I see Kyle's shirt. It's like awesome. I go back and tell Nate, this is wow. He's gonna love this. And then I'm typing out, where's my shirt? And Nate comes back immediately. And we're working on ideas for your shirt too. I'm like, oh, okay. I totally deleted what I was typing. But now
You're like,
I'm thinking,
you son of a bitch! You cast me aside.
What's my shirt gonna say though? I'm like, what do I'm not known for anything yet.
So forget the fact, guys, that it's almost fall and the cutoff season's almost over. But get it for next season.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Well, where's my money for? Where's my money for Kyle's shirts?
Wear a long sleeve shirt underneath the sleeveless.
Well, you think this is like WCW, Aaron, where you get a cut of everybody's merch like Hulk Hogan did? No,
yeah, I'm fucking Kevin Nash, bitch.
This is more like WWE, where eventually we're just going to own your real name too.
Isn't it time for you to blow your quad?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I should get some money for my goddamn shirt and mug and
By the
bumper
way,
sticker.
Get them while they last, folks. Aaron's shirts are going to be off the store.
They will be rare.
Yeah.
The fucking scalpers are going to get them.
By the way, the one good thing about this WCW Thunder, Kevin Nash works a whole 5 minutes and does not blow his quad one time.
Good for Kevin.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, he got the COVID anyway.
There wasn't a lot of bumps. There
the
wasn't
whole
a lot of
phone.
selling from the
Millionaires
legends.
Club. Ric Flair took a lot of bumps, but that was just Ric Flair.
Well,
it was a lot of cocaine.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was the MVP of this show. Man, God bless him. Even in 2000, he was trying.
He was on every minute of this episode. So, all right. So who wants to start?
All right. So again,
it is corral this shit.
It is May 3rd, 2000. We are in Memphis, Tennessee.
Would you like to
all
know
the great things that happened in that Coliseum, in the Mid-South Coliseum? And here's what WCW offers.
See, Nate, that's what I wrote down. I wrote that down. Like, this happened in the Mid-South Coliseum. Like, fucking Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk had a fucking empty arena match. Fucking Lawler pile drove Andy Kaufman in here, and this is like one of the
Lawler and Idol.
Yeah, and this is one of the last wrestling things that happened in this fucking building. Jesus Christ.
Guys, right now, as this show is taking place, our world champion for WCW is none other than the one, the only, David Arquette.
Dewey.
Yep.
Dewey is the champion at this point. And I put down a note here just at the beginning. If you watch this Thunder, if you listeners are brave enough to go back and watch this show after we've talked about it, this show encapsulates everything you need to know about how Vince Russo writes a wrestling show with
and
no
Eric
filter.
Bischoff too. Bischoff was not free in this. You know.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I put this show on at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know why. I had insomnia, and I'm like, let me just watch the Thunder now. I might as well. And the recap for Nitro was like awesome. I'm like, wow, a lot happened on Nitro that Monday before Thunder. And then I realized, oh God, it's the lead up to the Triple Cage from Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, I wrote this, guys. Okay, for one, WCW. Okay, at this time, would have an hour and 30-minute show, and everything would happen on it.
Right.
Like, they'd put, like, Vince Russo in WCW would have, like, 4 months worth of angles happen
right in
an hour and 30 minutes. Now Nate laughed. He knew what I was getting at.
Yeah,
Nate, you knew what I was getting at, right?
I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna do you one better. I believe at this time they were taping Nitro and Thunder on the same night.
Yes.
So
live Nitro.
It's 2.5 hours. Then they have 4 months worth of booking happening.
Right.
2 hours and 30 minutes. And at the beginning of this show, they have a parking lot brawl.
Right.
And nobody hit anybody. Like,
here's my question. You have fans in the arena who had just sat through Nitro, and now they're watching Thunder. But yet you're going to sit here and tell me the new blood just arrived?
Right.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Here's the thing. Like, you know why those fans weren't rioting? Because they had free tickets.
That's true.
It was 5 hours worth of free wrestling.
The best part about this is we have Bobby Heenan and not that piece of shit.
I said the same thing.
So.
I said the same thing. I said if this was a Mark Madden episode, I wouldn't go any further. But Aaron's right. They had a parking lot brawl where the Millionaires Club beat up Russo and Bischoff, but yet nobody landed a punch.
Yeah, nobody beat up anybody in that fucking parking lot brawl. Nobody hit anybody.
And here's the big spoiler throughout the show, guys. We are going to see New Blood come out, and they are going to challenge the Millionaires Club all night long, and they will continuously get their ass handed to them. So, if you are buying the pay-per-view on Sunday, what belief do you have that the New Blood has any fucking chance against these guys?
This is in my notes. It's in my notes. We've already seen the baby faces win. So what incentive do I have to watch not only this pay-per-view, but this, and I'll get into it more in depth as we go on, this huge convoluted storyline. This Millionaires Club, New Blood thing is like Russo at his finest
and it could have been so good. It could have been the greatest storyline ever if they would have just booked it properly, Nate.
Well, first of all, the Millionaires Club should have been the heels.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
in this show, they're doing New York rules,
which meant no referees.
We're going to get to that.
And if you want to win, you count yourself.
You count your own pinfall. You count your own submission. Your own one match was a table match, so that wasn't hard to figure out. But
so
the count right now, Vince Russo says the words "New York rules" in his opening promo twice.
Yeah, so
it said a lot more, but we'll get to the exact number by the time the show's over.
Here's the thing that blows my mind.
I have my favorite thing in the show.
You have you're fine. You have the New Blood coming out, okay? Mm-hmm. And so who is the vocal, like the man that is fucking speaking for the New Blood? Is it Kidman? Is it Vampiro? Is it Jeff Jarrett? No, it's fucking Vince Russo. So
meanwhile, Eric Bischoff is sitting there with his hands on the ropes like this, going, I don't want to be a part of this.
And I'm sure fucking Vince Russo drew all those fucking free tickets.
Yep. Yep.
So Russo.
The only thing I liked in this entire show was Ric Flair. He says this. He says, "You know who you're talking to, dipshit."
Yeah, they actually let him drop a curse word.
Ric Flair looks at Vince Russo and says, "Hey, look at who's on this stage. You know who you're talking to, dipshit? They cracked me up. Other than that, this fucking show's terrible.
But even then, Ric Flair buried the New Blood in 1 second, because if you look at the stage and then you look at the ring, aside from Shane Douglas and like Jeff Jarrett, who was on the New Blood? Billy Kidman and Vampiro, and neither one of them were made a star yet.
No, and they more Russo's hotshot booking. They turn during this whole deal, and their feud is part of all the everything. Everything Russo WCW is so convoluted, you can't form a fucking timeline in your head.
Nope.
But they had the thing going with Kidman and Hogan, and let's be honest. And I am a fan of Billy Kidman as a wrestler. I always was. I thought Billy Kidman was fantastic. Let's be honest. You're going to take Billy Kidman. You're going to turn him heel. And you're going to put him in his first program as a heel with Hulk Hogan, who makes him look like a midget. And that is not disrespectful to Billy Kidman at all.
Kidman's 5'10".
Why would you put him in the ring with a guy that, first of all, is 20 times the star he is?
Oh, right.
And secondly, is 2 times bigger than him? It just makes Kidman look Bush League. And
on top of that, you went and you rehashed the storyline of who was driving the limo. That, remember when the white Hummer hit the car, and now Kidman was the driver years later.
Right.
So he was like Rikishi, I did it for The Rock. But on top of that, I told you guys I watched a show on YouTube called Reliving the War, and it looks back at Nitro and Raw at the same time, watching both shows.
Right.
Hogan didn't sell for Flair. Hogan didn't sell for Savage. Hogan didn't sell for the Giant. But he was selling for Billy Kidman like a champ.
Yeah.
Like, really?
And
in my notes, sorry guys, in my notes it says Kimberly Page is awesome.
I felt her promo went on too long though.
We haven't got there yet though.
Hang on.
I don't really care. Kimberly Page.
So tonight they're going to put all the Millionaires Club's names in a boot.
In Vince Russo's boot, right.
And Vince Russo's boot, and they're going to draw it out, and we're going to have matches with no rules. You must count your own pinfalls.
With New York rules.
Well,
and I'm going to get to that. Listen, I hate that they did that. New York rules. Because, I mean, has anybody ever watched any show from Madison Square Garden? Because there's countouts, there's pinfalls,
right. There's referees.
New York rules is such a stupid. Like, I don't know what they were trying to.
Might as well have said we're in Tennessee. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, or wherever we are.
Yankee rules.
Yeah, right. It's Yankee rules, you hillbillies, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
At least gain heat from the crowd. They weren't booing him because they disliked his character. They just didn't like Vince Russo.
Yeah.
You know.
Can we mention how awesome Kimberly Page is?
What?
All right. Well, this is what I got on my notes.
You have to be shitting me. She is trying to be the fucking Sable. She's got to come out and cut a fucking promo.
I didn't listen to a word she said. I was just looking at her.
Then she fucking refers to the fans as marks. Oh, good. It's real, bro. Let's fucking
She wants to. She could call me a mark. She could call me an idiot. She could slap me in the face. I don't give a fuck.
She can call Aaron Jeff. He wouldn't care.
I would not care.
No, but Jeff Jarrett, he actually delivered a decent promo, but I feel a lot of the times his success in WCW was forced because of Vince Russo. Because they were so close.
And here's the problem all night tonight. With this first match, this is the problem all night tonight. It's matches that should seem like they should be good. Jeff Jarrett versus Canyon.
Right.
Okay.
Who better than Canyon?
Okay, great. Two great workers. But, boy, do they fuck it up.
So, my thing about Jarrett, you mentioned, Archie, that it felt forced. I always thought about Jarrett, and I'm even including TNA, all right? I'm even including TNA. I was always a guy. I like Jeff Jarrett. I'm not at all saying I don't like Jeff Jarrett. Though to me was never a main eventer. No. Jeff Jarrett seemed to me to be that guy that would be like a Tito Santana or a Greg Valentine, who's always in that Intercontinental Championship
right. I
area.
agree with you. But do you remember when he was in WWF with Owen Hart? He was wearing the "Don't Piss Me Off" shirt and started with the whole guitar head, shot. I think if Owen had not passed away, they would have eventually split them up quietly, and Jarrett might have had a chance at a main event shot then. But that wouldn't have been forced. That would have been him getting over organically with the help of Owen Hart.
Jeff Jarrett is no Tito Santana.
But to go in WCW, he jumped from WWF to WCW 3 times, and now Vince Russo's he's the golden boy. He's got to have the belt at every cost. But yet we're gonna keep playing hot potato with the title, so it means shit.
And Jeff Jarrett, I call it, and you guys may or may not get what I'm saying here. I think Jeff Jarrett's favorite match of all time. I mean, and it's a fantastic match. Anybody who gets my joke here, and then I'll elaborate. But do you think Jeff Jarrett's favorite match of all time is Bret Hart and Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13? And the reason I say that is because Jeff Jarrett was the king of the walk and brawl, man. Jeff Jarrett, 75% of Jeff Jarrett's matches were Jeff Jarrett and his opponent walking through the crowd and just punching each other.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes.
I don't know about
just to kill time.
I don't know about you guys, but knowing where we're headed with WCW, every time I see that fucking pyro go off, I'm like, oh, well, there's $5,000 fucking
right. That was spelled well spent. To move the Kimberly Page promo, though, Aaron's right. She looked great, and for 5 minutes, she delivered a great promo.
Is this the point in the show where she delivered her promo?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes the Vince Russo promo. Jeff Jarrett and Kimberly come out. Jarrett says he picks Canyon, and then Kimberly cuts a 10-minute promo for no reason.
Okay,
5
so I guess
would have been great.
Except I guess fine, and she has nice titties.
I guess because I just wrote down Jarrett versus Canyon, whatever. So I guess I didn't write down.
You can go on fucking Pornhub and see nice titties. I don't need to fucking see it cut a fucking 10-minute fucking promo.
Right. She was good at Kyle. My point is her promo wasn't bad for a 5-minute promo. But when she just started going, and Paige, and you're such a bad guy, Paige, because you only got successful because of me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, weren't you with the Booty Man a year and a half ago?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you were the Booty Babe for a year and a half. Don't even try that shit. You know?
You can also find a video on Pornhub called Booty Babe. But anyway,
yeah.
DDP hit her with a balsa wood guitar.
Yes. Canyon with a roll up.
Into that.
Oh, I forgot to mention that as part of Jeff Jarrett's arsenal. The walk and brawl and the guitar shot. That's Jeff Jarrett's legacy.
Balsa wood guitar. I mean, you got to call it a balsa wood guitar.
It always did look devastating when he'd hit it though, because the guitar would shatter.
Because it was balsa wood.
What was it? That guy Mike from WCW in the Rise and Fall of WCW. It was Mike.
Tenay?
No, his dad was a promoter.
Oh, Mike Graham.
Yes, Mike Graham. And he talks about Jeff Jarrett. He's like, he broke fucking 5,000 guitars a year, never drew a fucking dime.
Right. Speaking of guys that look like 70s porn stars, Mike Graham, God rest his soul, looked a bit like a 70s porn star.
Kyle, let me ask you a question, though. When you're giving away $5,000 and $10,000 tickets for free, how does anybody draw a dime?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
No one could have drawn a dime back in the 2000s. But Canyon won with a roll-up. Yeah, well, they were giving away free tickets.
Speaking of not drawing a dime, up next we got Lex Luger and The Wall.
Oh, yeah.
I put on here.
I have
I'm
Matt
glad
too.
I put on here. Kyle. You shut up. Don't make me get up. I'm drunk. But no, I said I'm glad to see that Lex Luger actually fucking put on goddamn his fucking gear for this show.
It's nice, It's nice to see he didn't wear his jumpsuit or whatever.
God,
yeah.
He comes out. God, huh?
wore jeans like everybody else on this fucking show.
He wore fucking slacks. With goddamn Gucci.
Okay, well, everybody's wearing pants on this fucking show.
Well, because it was New York rules, bro.
So match 2 is the Wall versus Lex Luger, and I wrote in parentheses, "Why the fuck?" And I gave this match 1.5 stars. And in this match, Tony Schiavone said in commentary, "Tonight it's man-on-man action."
As opposed to man-on-woman action every other day.
Just keep going back to Pornhub on this episode.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a second, guys. Tonight. It's New York rules, which means there are no rules. But yet, this is a tables match.
The count is up to 4, by the way. Mike Tenay has now said New York rules 2 more times, so we're at 4.
I wrote here, I said...
Tony Schiavone said, "This is man-on-man action."
And I wrote on here, I said...
That'll put
so
asses in
the
the seats.
storyline on this with Lex Luger is that Russo's trying to keep Liz away from Luger.
Right.
And I said... It's kind of sad.
Hey, he probably should have.
He
Let's
should
say
have.
2020.
He should have.
Hindsight being
Sad he
2020.
failed at that.
Right. Another failed
Christ.
Russo project.
and Ric Flair is involved in this.
Okay,
And-
what I wrote about this match was Wall versus Lex Luger. The less said about this match, the better. Because it was
What I'm
Lots of
gonna
smoke.
say.
Lots of smoke and mirrors.
yeah.
This is what I'm going to say. Fucking Ric Flair's involved in this match, right?
So is Kidman.
He is. And at this
So is
time,
Chronic.
Ric Flair's involved. This, and I know there's a lot of guys that'll say, like, his time with, like, TNA or this, that, and the other thing. This is the saddest time in Ric Flair's career, in my opinion. And I'm a Ric Flair guy, and Nate
Yeah.
knows. Ric
During this-
Flair at this time,
During this time, Ric
saddest
Flair
I've
Ric
ever
Flair
seen.
consistently looked like a Burger King district manager getting his ass whooped all the time. Like he did. He looked like a Burger King
He did.
district manager
He did.
getting beat up all the time, and it was pathetic. And it was one of those situations where, and people can say what they want about Hogan, but Vince
Flair.
Russo in all his what he thought was infinite wisdom had literally the 2 biggest draws in the history of wrestling. Or the history of modern wrestling, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan.
And he put himself over both.
That, yes, and he treated both of them like just other guys on the roster,
called them
just like
dinosaurs.
anybody else. Yes,
He called them dinosaurs on a daily basis. Now,
and you're right, Aaron. This is the worst time in Ric Flair's career.
yeah. All right, so Russo comes out to do commentary with Liz. Flair follows behind, tries to get at Russo because apparently during the match at Slamboree that Flair has with Shane Douglas, which I'm not sure if that was the Viagra on a pole match.
No, I don't believe it
no.
was.
No.
I think that was on an
yeah.
episode of Nitro, yeah. So Flair's trying to get to Liz to help Luger, but all you keep hearing Flair say, while panting, Ric Flair is sounding like he can't breathe on commentary. Is come on, package, over and over and over again.
Although
And
it's Slamboree 2000, he has a great fucking line when he gets in the ring against Shane Douglas.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
he's like tonight I'm gonna walk that aisle, I'm gonna style and profile, and I'm gonna kick your ECW ass, pal.
yeah.
Pal.
It was the match everybody's been waiting for like 6 years.
At least the
Douglas-
match Shane Douglas has been waiting for.
Yeah, well, no, because Douglas has been talking about it since ECW, so of course we want to see this match. But then the more stupidity thing of all of this, Chronic comes down to get involved, and we're explained to on commentary that Chronic was not being paid enough on the New Blood, so they joined the Millionaires Club.
Yeah.
What? Oh, by the way,
fuck me.
Hugh Morris is a member of the Millionaires Club too.
Yeah, he's
So,
there too
again,
now.
Again, what?
So Vince Russo is the mastermind, right? But he looks
Mhm.
like a bumbling idiot because
Yes.
he ends up costing the Wall the match.
Yes, because he hits Luger in the stomach.
Fuck
Luger
me.
looked like he bent over to take a shit when Russo hit him with the bat. Luger goes, oh, and you're like, oh God, did he just shit his pants?
He's going to drop his total package there.
Luger looks like he wants to be anywhere else besides here.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. He looked that way since like '98,
right?
But
let's be honest. He probably was.
Mm-hmm. So
Wall goes through the table.
Goddamn,
He kind of goes through the table.
His feet go through the table.
Horrible table shot. Like, I mean, would you expect anything less? But
Russo goes to attack Flair. Russo goes to attack Flair. Flair gets in a couple of good shots. Luger's still on the floor shitting from the stomach shot. And then here comes Billy Kidman. And guess what? We've got another match that now Mike Tenay has said 7 times. It's New York Rules and the Millionaires Club are winning.
Now here's the thing. The fans are
Ric Flair versus Billy Kidman.
Yes,
right.
The fans are excited. They're going crazy because
here's everybody involved in this fucking match. Okay, so now we're in the Ric Flair Billy Kidman match, correct?
Right.
I have no fucking idea who won this match. I have no idea.
Nobody did win.
No, but this match involves.
Right. Mike Awesome.
According to Nash, Mike Awesome won.
Thank you, Kevin.
Here's everybody involved.
Listen to Aaron. Aaron's right. I have the same list. Go ahead, Aaron.
There's everybody involved in this match. It starts with Ric Flair and Billy Kidman. It's just a match.
It was a good match, too. They were actually putting on a decent match.
It's pretty decent. And then Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Rey Mysterio, Mike Awesome,
Conan,
Ray.
They're all just involved, and it makes absolutely no fucking sense.
No.
And this is the point at the night where the fans, like, at first are excited because, like, all this shit's happening. And then they start to realize, like, oh, this is what it's going to be all fucking night long.
Right.
That is exactly what I was about to say, because you just rattled off all the people that are involved in the finish or whatever the fuck you want to call the end of this thing.
Right.
But you just saw the same kind of deal go down in the last match.
Right.
Nothing stands out because when every match has 16 run-ins, can you even call it a match? Like, I know I bitch about the modern product all the time and the hot shotting and shit. And this is why I say, as much as we loved the Attitude Era,
there weren't many finishes.
Back then, started the decline of wrestling because
you ended one match.
You're fitting like we alluded to earlier with fitting like a month worth of storylines in one show. You literally fit probably what you could fit in at least a 1 hour wrestling show in this one match.
Right.
And here's the thing.
One other note. Sorry, Kyle. I don't want to cut you off. One other note that I had before we move on to what you had to say, just wanted to get it in there. We said, okay, so Nash, and then who was it, tries to run away. Kidman tries to run away, and Hogan catches Kidman at the curtain.
Right.
And starts to beat up Kidman. The most awkward playing of someone's entrance theme ever in the history of wrestling, because like he gets him at the curtain and he's beating him a little bit up the aisle, and it's like the music guy was like, oh, click.
Oh, I didn't know Hogan was going to be here. Right. Right.
So awkward.
It's awkward, but it might also be the most realistic.
Oh, and here was my favorite part. Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan's like, it's Hulk Hogan, and Tony Schiavone's like, no, it's Terry Bollea. Give me a fucking break.
Now, here's the thing that's sad about this is that 2 years ago, Kidman versus Flair could have main evented Nitro.
Yeah,
right.
And think about that, because like you had Billy Kidman versus Ric Flair. If the rules were reversed, that's a great fucking match.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And fuck.
Ric Flair helped to make Eddie Guerrero into a mid-carder because of the match he had with Eddie on Monday Nitro. So he could have done the same thing for Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio, Conan, whoever.
He did with Ray. He had a match with Ray, and it was amazing.
But,
is that the one where he got thrown in the pool?
Yeah.
He got thrown in the pool at spring break, yeah. So, and then the culmination of all this is Hogan, Nash, and Flair laying out, our monster heel,
Mike Awesome.
You know, and you know what? I'm a Mike Awesome mark, man.
I love
Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome was never a fantastic promo. However, I'm going to get to something here.
You give him a manager, you know.
He's Aaron said, or was it Aaron who said Ric Flair was the only good thing about the show? Is that you, Kyle?
Yes.
As we go through the show, I'm going to disagree and say that I think Mike Awesome was really good in this show too, but I'll get to that later.
He was. What I'm saying with Ric Flair is, like, at least Ric Flair, like, you could tell he is fucking trying to get this shit over.
Right.
He is goddamn this.
Definitely professional, yes. But Mike Awesome to me was always, I mean, for a big dude, one of my favorite matches ever is Awesome and Tanaka at that ECW One Night Stand, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best.
Their trilogy is amazing.
The fuck out of each other in that
Their
match.
trilogy of matches, when Tanaka finally hoists Awesome up and Awesome bombs him through a table on the outside, it's like the biggest payoff, because every other match, Awesome was beating the fuck out of him.
Right.
And now Tanaka finally got payback.
Yes.
So then, I agree with you.
So then, now we have DDP that comes out, and he's going to face
Vampiro. Kyle, did you notice the entrance?
Yes.
Vampiro comes out, the lights go out, but you see a hooded figure come out.
Yes.
It was so stupid.
The lights come on, and there's Sting beating up Vampiro, and I'm like, was he the guy under the hood?
Yes, he was. Okay, what they were going for, literally. This is where.
Talk about not having the right amount of smoke and mirrors.
So before they wrote this, apparently Russo, the listeners can't see me, so I'm going to make a noise. Apparently Russo went, you know what would be really cool, bro? I snorted a line of Coke there, folks.
Right.
You literally have Sting walking around on the stage
in a hood or a sheet.
In no way is he conspicuous.
Right.
In no way.
Shouldn't the lights have gone out and then Sting comes out? And then
in no way is he conspicuous. Vampiro could obviously have seen, even if he couldn't see who it was, he could obviously have seen someone walking around on the stage.
Couldn't he have went backstage and be like, "Hey, Buff, come out with me. There's somebody on the stage." Something.
Sting is one of my favorite wrestlers, but I got two problems. One, they try to make Sting the Undertaker.
Right.
Yep.
Two, Sting is the only one out of the Millionaires Club that shows up in his gear, paints his face.
Right.
Everybody, like, what the fuck?
I gave this match -5 stars.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
I don't want to see cockhold Dallas Page.
And here's the problem. This match right here ruins everything else, because for the rest of the fucking show, you have this ugly, god-awful fucking fake blood on the mat.
Can somebody explain to me how Vampiro got caught and covered in blood? Because I never saw him get anything on him while I was watching. Did they cut that part out?
I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't see it now that you mention it.
It was Sting.
It was obviously Sting. But I never saw Sting throw it on him, so he just got thrown in the ring with blood.
This is one of the many times
Bad
of the night that the camera guys don't catch things.
Well, can I tell you what Tony Schiavone says in the next match?
Because, I don't want to. We aren't going to go into the next match yet because we're going to take our break.
DDP, he gets thrown in the ring covered in blood. DDP hits the diamond cutter. Match is over in 3 seconds. It's not even really a match.
Now here's my.
Mike Tenay says New York rules for the 10th time now in the first 40 minutes.
I love that Archie's
keeping track. 40
minutes. 40 minutes. 10 times.
Here's my question, guys. If it's New York rules and you count your own pins, why isn't anybody going?
Right.
They're doing a legit count. Like
what the fuck?
We're in the Millionaires Club. We have integrity. We're going to count for real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got integrity, all right.
And now DDP is covered in Sweet Baby Ray's, celebrating. And at this point, we're going to take our break. It'll be our only break of this show. And we'll get to the second half of this Thunder Blunder here on the episode 105, the Thunder Blunder episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We will be right back after this, ladies and gentlemen.
Well. You can't wrestle. So what did you do? You went out there and you started a podcast. You got that right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And I am Brian Pillman Jr. The We Can't Wrestle podcast is a podcast about wrestling and a bunch of guys that don't know how to do it. But I, Brian Pillman Jr., am very good at pro wrestling, so I don't need to start a podcast called the We Can't Wrestle podcast, but I'll gladly put my name on the brand. I'll gladly go on the line to say that the We Can't Wrestle podcast is one of the most informative, most balanced, non-biased podcasts out there. Thank you very much, and have a good listen.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast, and we are doing our Thunder Blunder episode here, May 3rd, 2000, WCW Thunder, but now it is time for... Shameless plugs. Got to get a couple in here. I mentioned earlier the new 2300 podcast coming your way, more details coming on that in the next week or so. And also, I want to plug, as we were talking about, we kind of jumped the gun on it earlier talking about merchandise. Yes, there is a new merchandise store for the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Teespring.com/stores/We Can't Wrestle. And, of course, the link is in the We Can't Wrestle Facebook group. Go get you some merchandise. You can be a part of Kyle's Sleeveless Army.
Yes.
You can have a coffee mug that praises Aaron's list.
Aaron's shirt is the best.
And Archie, of course. And Archie's new merchandise will be coming. I'm not gonna make any for myself because I'm such a humble guy.
I'll make it for you.
Don't you have a couple on the Motley Soup store?
There are some in the Motley Soup store. And I did have to make merchandise, i.e. T-shirts, cell phone cases, and face masks that say Omega Sucks. I had to have some Omega Sucks merchandise. Also, the Asylum. I want to talk about the Asylum really quick because coming up next Saturday in the Asylum, yes, absolutely, in the virtual Asylum, meet and greet the one and only, one of the greatest heels of all time, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Archie, do you want to elaborate on that?
It's a travesty that man never held a world heavyweight title.
He made his own belt, baby.
Though. Yes, he did. We are Ted DiBiase on at 6 p.m. next Saturday. You can get a 8x10 for $45 with your meet and greet and autograph, and get to ask him some questions. We also have pops. We have figures. We have shirts. So make sure you join us.
Also, another incentive to join both the Asylum and World Championship Customs in that in a lot of the events that are on the pages now, you may not even have to spend $45 for that 8x10.
For $1 or $2, you might get into the meet and greet with an 8x10 or a figure, and
exactly
save you some money.
Here's the thing: one, with the Ted DiBiase thing, come find out what your price is.
Right. You can ask him what he would buy you for.
Exactly. And two, when it comes to World Championship Customs, yes, not only is it pro wrestling, is it Marvel, is it, everything else, but the fact is that just the other day we had some people and fans that were talking to Archie about doing customs for him and his wife, for married couples. I mean, it's not just,
I've made customs for an entire family, a father, a mother, and a daughter.
How cool! How cool
Daniel
would that
Ariola
be?
has as well.
How cool would that be able to be for your wedding or your birthday to have
you and your wife as a cake topper,
very own custom.
Thanks to Archie, there is a Kindle action figure.
Yes, and a Kyle with no sleeves.
And a Kyle with no sleeves. Archie's the man to do it. And if Archie can't do it, there are so many.
There are 30 and 40 and 50 other guys that can do it that I guarantee you I will give you to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
We are a community.
Right now I'm actually working on Chad Austin customs for Aaron and Chad. I have one made of Chad in his black pants with white boots. I'm waiting on one more body. I have the head made so I can make the one in his orange singlet. I'm making figures for indie wrestlers.
And it's not just the tag guys when we say world-class customs. These are world-class.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on there does incredible work. Kyle and I also have a show every Sunday called 60 Minutes or Less, but that's a lie because we went for almost 2 hours last week.
We did.
But I guess Kyle and I like to go all night long. Who knows?
We do.
It's a great recap of the week's Word of Wrestling. This week we're going to have a lot more because there are 2 AEW Darks and an AEW pay-per-view that will be on this week as well. So
lots of wrestling coming up this week.
Yes,
and that is, and Aaron will tell you. I'm going to get the last one in here. Those of you that listen to the podcast, and
yes, my Ichiban Hogan.
This is my favorite custom.
For those people listening to the show, Aaron, what is your favorite
Hogan one?
Ichiban, number one.
You know what's horrible? I made that with intentions to keep it, and Aaron wanted it so badly. I'm like, okay. So it took me 3 more months to get back the parts to remake another one.
So last but not least, those of you listening to the show that are not a member of our Facebook group, Aaron, you want to give them your thought on why are they not a member of our Facebook group?
Because they're fucking idiots. They should just join.
Just join.
He didn't mean that. He meant that as lovingly as Aaron possibly can.
He meant that with every fiber of his being.
Like every bone in my body. If you're not joining this goddamn group, you're a fucking moron.
And head over right now to the Asylum podcast to listen to the meet and greets from Mick Foley.
Mm-hmm.
What an awesome time that was.
And every one of those meet and greets is available in audio form on the Asylum Wrestling podcast as well.
And guys, get yourself in on $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
And in 2 weeks, we have the one and only Psycho Sid Vicious.
Oh.
That's going to be a good one. It's on the day of my birthday.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Hey,
well, you know what, Archie?
Mm.
You may be half the man he is, but he has half the brain you do.
And I want to state this right now on the podcast. I only pray that I look as good as what Archie does at
Jesus
39.
Christ.
When
Someone left me a comment a couple days ago and said you're a busted ass 39. I'm like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
What a dick.
I told him that.
Hey.
I told him that.
Everybody shut the fuck up. I'm going to say this. Join the We Can't Wrestle podcast Facebook group. Join the whatever the fuck Archie's doing. The
World Championship Customs.
Yeah, and then fucking come hang out with me on Trading Chops, man.
Right.
Yes.
Trading
Aaron's
Chops
group is
is
hysterical. It's hysterical.
Hashtag Sleeveless Army. Right here.
like Trading Chops, it's not like, you know, it's
There's
like
no rules.
No, there's no rules except fucking
New
don't
York
talk about
rules.
goddamn religion, politics, or COVID. Other than that, just fucking hang out. And I'm like the bastard redheaded child of the fucking goddamn We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Oh, come
group.
on. Who else has a shirt that says my list was the best?
It's okay.
Who else had to buy his own fucking shirt?
By the way, hashtag shirt yet to be named for me.
Yes.
I have to rip up my list.
That
Like,
fucking
I had a fucking
that Archie shirt's gonna sell out, man.
I just want it to be a question mark with my face as the dot. Because there's nothing else that I can like. What else can he do?
I'll come up with something. This brain will come up with something.
Oh,
Maybe I'll have you make me and Kyle the 60-minute or less shirts.
There we
With a
go.
Clock and put me as the 12 and him as the 6.
We'll have a 60-minute or less shirt, and then the clock will be on 64 minutes.
Right. Right.
And
There you go.
don't worry, ladies. I can make love in under 60 seconds. Moving on.
Best 60 seconds of her life, right, Kyle?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right,
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
next by the
we're
bed
talking
after we're
Thunder May 3rd, 2000. The next segment is Mike Awesome coming out, and this is where I want to say, Mike Awesome was one of my favorite things of this episode.
He came out selling the back.
Let me get in.
Yes, the back from the
let me get
bomb.
in. Yeah, I want to. That's one of the 2 points I want to get in here, and then we can talk about what happens after. First of all, Awesome came out on a Vince Russo show, and sold. He was actually selling in this match, or in this segment leading up to the match. So good on him. And then I don't know why, but I really laughed because he's calling out Sting. He talks about Sting being up in the rafters or whatever, and he says, "Sting, get your Batman ass out here." And I just thought that was so funny. Get your Batman ass out.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that with the whole Sting and the rafters thing. Like, after the whole Owen Hart debacle, you really think he's coming down from the raft. And here's the thing. I want to say right now, as it stands right now, Vince Russo, yes, maybe it wasn't you who killed Owen Hart and everything else. But here's the fact, and the problem is that you fucking glorified that shit from then on out. Yep. That is the issue that we have with you. Whether or not it's your fault that he was put up there, the fact is that you fucking glorified that shit.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's that's work shoot in the business, and you can watch it and you can doubt whether it's a work or a shoot. But I want to tell you guys right now, if you have never seen the segment, I'm talking to listeners, I know everybody here has seen it, but if you have never seen the segment from one of the early days in the Asylum, as it was called back then, ironically, for TNA,
with Piper,
when Piper Russo thing, like Russo, that's a shoot, man. Like Russo looks so uncomfortable.
And he's trying to grab the mic away so he can get Piper out of the show. And
he
Piper
looks so uncomfortable.
Did you kill Owen Hart? Did you kill
my
cousin?
brother? Did you kill my cousin? Yeah, it was that's one of those. That's one of those moments where you watch it. And it's like, damn, this is hard to watch. Even
I guarantee you, they called Roddy Piper for that show. It's like, hey, Roddy, we got this new NWA thing. You want to be on it? And he's like, yeah. But Vince Russo's going to be there. Okay.
But I will say this:
said what he was going to do.
Roddy Piper had a podcast, and he had Vince Russo on there, and he brought up that. And you know what? Piper has a good point, because he states and he says that, like, look, like, the problem is that you were dictating what wrestlers did,
right?
And you decided that you needed to be the star without any thought or repercussion of what could happen.
Right.
You know what? That's right. That's fair, because,
watch this show.
Yeah, Vince is so fucking worried about, I don't know, and that's the problem is that, with, and I don't mean to get off on a Vince Russo tangent here.
No,
but
go right ahead.
The problem is that he sits there and says that he leaves WWF to go to WCW because it's too hard, because he's working too much. But you have a locker room full of guys who work 300 fucking days a year.
Right.
And then you're going to sit there and say, like, oh, well, I'm working too hard, when you're the one dictating what they fucking do.
Oh, and then when you get to WCW, now not only are you writing, but you're also on the show.
Exactly.
Constantly.
Yeah, and it's not just like, okay, like, so Vince McMahon, when he was Mr. McMahon, I mean, they were heavy-handed with Mr. McMahon in '98 when you were getting the Stone Cold thing heated up.
Right.
However, if you look at the Mr. McMahon character over the years, well, not just that, but he had the perfect amount of screen time. Yes. He was not in every fucking segment.
Nope.
And you watch these shows, and it's like Russo's in. If you have 10 segments on the show, Russo's in 7 of them.
Well, here's the thing: every match ends, and then they immediately go backstage for Russo to cut another promo with the New Blood.
Yeah,
on this show, so he's in every segment. The Sting and Awesome match could have been great, even with Awesome selling the back. But then again, too much interference.
Mm-hmm. Being honest,
and actions are involved for no reason.
And I don't know why, so I'll let somebody else cover it. But being honest, I did not write the finish of this down. I don't know why. I don't know how I missed it.
The fucking MIA.
Misfits in Action come out.
Okay.
And they help Sting. Sting puts on the Scorpion Deathlock and then leaves it on way too long. Like, it's on for like a minute and a half. And then he finally lets it go. And then we immediately go right back to the New Blood dressing room so Vince Russo could yell at Scott Steiner.
Where they're all yelling at each other, yeah.
Which is a fucking horrible idea. Why the fuck are you
Well, that's what Mike Tenay said. He's like, dude, does he really want to be yelling at someone like Scott Steiner? And then Russo shuts up and goes, Scotty, just go take care of business. Which leads us to what I thought was going to be my favorite match on the whole show.
Steiner and Hogan.
Yes, that's a dream match come true.
Exactly. And I wrote here, I said, here comes Scott Steiner and his hose. And one of the hoes has a U.S. title. It's nice to see the fucking title on this
I didn't even
show.
I didn't even know that Scott Steiner was the U.S. champion at this time.
No.
It's not like they mentioned, not like they bothered to mention it.
This is the first time that we have seen a title belt on Thunder.
Right.
On the go home.
Right. Because David Arquette isn't there. But meanwhile, they filmed Nitro earlier, so David Arquette was in the building. Mm-hmm. So why didn't they have the world champion out at any point in time to build to this goddamn triple cage?
And
we'll get to that at the end.
And I wrote, thank God Scott gets to cut a promo. But the sad part about it is it wasn't entertaining.
No.
No.
I couldn't understand 40% of what he said.
Mm.
And then the other 40% was, okay, here's how I describe a Scott Steiner promo. Scott Steiner promos in this era, Scott Steiner promos to me are the equivalent of a Rob Zombie movie. Hear me out. It is shock for the sake of shock.
Yes.
It is not entertaining. It is not well thought out. It is shock. Rob Zombie is a shitty filmmaker. I don't know why people like his movies. I have no idea, because they're shitty. Because they are shock for the sake of shock.
Yes.
But that being said,
Aaron just checked out.
That's okay. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
So
I thought he got a little quiet.
But 1 minute into the match, and here comes General Erection.
And here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with this, Archie, is the fact that so now it's General Erection and Hulk Hogan versus Scott Steiner. It's 2-on-1, but they're the faces.
Right. And Steiner's still whipping ass. Steiner literally beat their ass for about 2 minutes into this match.
No. And here's my problem with it. If it's no rules, why didn't fucking Scott just say, fucking screw it?
Right.
And leave.
Right. They turned a dream match into a nightmare.
Yeah.
No one comes to help Scott Steiner despite Vince Russo rallying the troops backstage. And we end in a count out.
Yep.
But yet there's no referee to count out anybody.
Count out.
It's
again, no rules.
God, it's so tough. Like, it's so tough to. This is like Vince Russo. Okay, you watch this, and I don't have this written down or anything. I'm just thinking about it as we're talking about the finish of these matches and stuff. And this is not in any way to be offensive to anybody who may or may not need this medicine. But it is like when Vince Russo writes a show, he did not take his Ritalin.
Right.
Like, there is just so much going on. There is it's too much.
Like Monday morning, it's like, okay, we got to write a show, Ed. Okay, what are we doing? We're going to do this, but we're going to go here, and then we're going to go here, and then I want to do this. Vince, calm down. Wait, no, I'm going to do this. And it's like, okay, do it.
All right. So next we have WCW in 2000's favorite thing, limo pulling up. Okay. Now this right here is my favorite fucking line of the night. Bobby has the greatest fucking line of the night.
You fucker. I wrote this down too.
Yes. I will let you take it.
So the limo pulls up, and it's on the license plate. It says FUNB. And they're inquisiting. They're thinking about, okay, whose side is this person on? And Tenay says, well, the license plate does say FUNB, which, as we know, is derogatory toward the New Blood. And Shivani says it could mean for uniting the New Blood.
Right.
And Bobby Heenan goes, you really think that's what it means? God, it was so funny.
You could tell.
And then he says,
Heenan was leaving. He wasn't going to be around much longer.
Then he says, yeah. He says, How many times have these people told you to go unite yourself?
You can tell Bobby was ready to leave. He was done.
Go unite yourself.
Go unite yourself.
Oh, God, darn it. That's so great.
So Chronic and Buff Bagwell.
I'm glad, Nate, that you fucking felt the same way as I did. Like that.
It made no sense.
Great.
It was just no, and you know what?
Uniting the new blood.
Shit, yeah, it was essentially 35 to 40 seconds of those guys just and literally not knowing, like literally having to work in Vince Russo's world. Right. And then Bobby busting his buddy's balls, man. It was great.
This is what was stupid. It was on Hogan's shirt all this time. So Hogan was wearing a For Uniting the New Blood shirt.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
but very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very, of course, Heenan. We all miss.
Yes, we love you, Bobby Heenan.
So
now Chronic is fighting the new blood, the Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas, who are the tag champions.
Buff and Douglas, who I thought were a terrible tag team.
Two men who didn't meld together well.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
You know, for everything Buff and Lex Luger were, this was like the total opposite.
I am a... And I want, and this is to elaborate, and we always get off topic, kind of, but it's still on topic. We're still talking about the wrestler. You tell me what you think. To me, I was never okay in WCW when he was in his tag team with Steamboat.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas was a good team member for Steamboat.
Yes,
he was a good young babyface. You know. ECW, he made that character, and what was it? Last episode or the episode before we did our top 10 ECW, and I was very highly praising Shane Douglas.
Yes, I had him as number 1 on my list.
Yes. However, is it just me? And you guys can tell me if you disagree. The Shane Douglas ECW character never worked anywhere but ECW.
No, it didn't.
In WCW, it just came on. I don't know. It didn't work.
Imagine an indie rock band who isn't signed to a label. They're going to make you want to buy their CDs. They're going to make you want to buy their merch.
Right.
When they get signed to a label now, they're not gonna shill so much as the label will. So it's not really them begging you to buy their shit. With Douglas, he was an indie guy in ECW. So when he said, F Vince McMahon, F Ric Flair, F WCW, you bought into it because he was in a different company. When he got to the mainstream company, he couldn't say it anymore.
Right, and he tried. Yes, exactly, and that makes perfect sense. He tried to be. Yeah, he became.
You can't be a sellout and still be against the boss. You know what I mean?
ZZ Top said it best. It's hard to sing the blues from the back of a limousine.
Right.
And that's why, and again, we get off topic. That's why I am absolutely. I always piss on people that, and I'm a big fan of both of these bands. Actually, one of them is one of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands is Green Day. Okay.
Okay.
And then the other band I'm going to group into this is Metallica. Both of those bands, when they became a little lighter in their edge, when they took a little of the speed off their music, or tried to get a little deeper with their lyrics, people shit on them.
Right.
And I always say, like, I'm just going to use Metallica as the example. Metallica did not sell out. Metallica grew up.
Right.
They grew up. I would find it, and I'm going to use another band as the opposite. The opposite. Aerosmith. All right? Here we go. Metallica grew up as a band, and Metallica doesn't look pathetic because Metallica is not in their 50s or 60s still trying to play thrash metal.
Right.
Whereas Aerosmith is still on stage at 70 years old in their fucking tights.
Right.
They never grew up as a band. And
I understand.
Here's the thing. I feel like I have a voice in this because I'm a musician.
You're the musician in the group.
Right.
Yes.
I am. I've been playing for 16 years. I have done a lot of cool stuff. I've opened for a lot of cool bands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like brag or anything, like I said, but bands you've heard of. I'm a death metal guy, and if there is nothing more than in that music genre, it is the fact that people saying this band sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this band sells out, or this band sells out, or this band sells out. And Green Day actually said it best. They said, "I didn't sell out; I bought in."
Yeah,
I don't
Best statement in the world.
I don't
When
come
you-
from a place where I don't need money.
Right.
Right.
When you can especially speak to this, Kyle, if you are a struggling musician and you're playing in a garage or you're playing in small dive bars or whatever, and you get your album and you get your big break, and now you have the opportunity to make the music and have a voice
Right.
and make some money doing what you want to do, why the hell would you not do that? It's stupid. It's like calling anybody that ever gets a promotion at work a sellout.
Yeah,
Right.
Let me share a quick story. It's off topic, but it
Go
really
right
speaks to this. Okay,
It's our show, goddammit.
That's right.
back a couple years ago, I got the chance to open for Puddle of Mud and Saliva
Mm-hmm.
in Michigan at Rockapalooza.
Damn.
Okay, I've opened for Pop Evil. I've opened for a lot of bands. Here's the thing: for the Pop Evil show, and even for the Puddle of Mud and Saliva show, we had to rent our own van. We had to rent our own trailer to bring the gear up there. We didn't get a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
We had to stay in a campground because it was the cheapest.
Right.
Okay, we had to travel 4 hours, pay money out of our own pocket to get there. When we opened for Pop Evil, it was a sense of you had to sell the most tickets to get that spot. They don't just give that to you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of work that goes into it. That's why I get mad when people say, like, oh, this person sold out. Well, yeah. Because guess what? It isn't a fucking easy lifestyle, man. It's not.
Right.
Well,
Right.
and I'm not even in any way, shape, or form comparing what I do to what you do.
No, I get it.
All right. But same here. Like right now, Kendall and I have decided that it's shit or get off the pot. We're building this into a business. But I'm going to be honest with our listeners and everybody, and I've said it before, literally doing this show for the past 3 years, I haven't made a dime.
No.
It's a labor of love.
I have played for 15 years, and I've probably made $400 off of merch.
Right.
That's it, guys.
It is. It's about the passion. So if you can turn that into
Right.
money, why
Exactly.
wouldn't you?
Exactly. Let me tell you what a normal night is for a band. You are loading up your shit. Usually, you have to carry all your stuff down.
Right. There's no roadies.
No, there's no fucking roadies. You have to carry your own shit. No one's doing that for you.
Unless you brought your cousin, man.
Yeah. You play the show, then you have to tear down.
Right.
And then, like me, like there is no party. Like the smartest man that I ever talked to was, I can't think of his name. He was the guitarist for Zach Myers from Shinedown.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, I said, "What does it take?" He's like, "Dude, you know what I'm going to do after tonight? I'm going to go back to my hotel room. I'm going to play some Xbox, and I'm going to go to bed because tomorrow's another show."
Yep.
Right.
It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's not. Yes, I understand that maybe Motley Crue had this party lifestyle, but guess what? That's an act. That's a show.
Right.
Right.
Even
It's
me and my dad were talking about something recently. Dean Martin used to come on stage with a glass in his hand of ice and booze and be drunk on stage and sing. People found out later on in time that glass with ice actually had apple juice in it, and he was never really drunk.
Mm-hmm.
He used to go back to his hotel room after he would do his show, call his wife on the phone, tell her how much he loved her and missed her, and that he wished he could be home. He wasn't partying with women. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't having a great time with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis.
It's a gimmick. It's kayfabe, baby.
It's a gift. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It is.
Shane Douglas couldn't be the same franchise in WWE or WCW that he wanted to be, that he was in ECW. But after the Revolution left, Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko and Saturn and Eddie Guerrero, Douglas got left out to dry with nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, exactly. Because
So-
Revolution was the only chance that he had to be that
Right.
anti-establishment.
He brought
you
the
know.
triple threat to life in WCW and named it something different, but they were actually changing something. The young guys were coming up. When Benoit left and all those other, and didn't tell him, hey, we're leaving, Shane. Let's go to WWE. He just sat there and went, okay, so you want me to team with Buff Bagwell? All right. You know?
Well, and
I'll
here's the problem that I have with this match is the fact that so first comes Buff and then comes Shane.
Right.
They're tag team champions. Why are they not coming out together?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I know it seems something small, but like to me, the fact that if your tag team champions don't come out together, unless it's a storyline thing like with
Where they're
New Blood
not
and
getting
Stone
along.
Cold,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
you know,
Or
like, I
if it's
get
two
that.
mainstream stars, like when The Rock and Austin had the belts, like, okay, that's understandable. You're not going to have them enter together. But this is two mid-card guys that you threw together. Shouldn't they have a tag team entrance?
Right.
You
And
know?
shouldn't they have a tag team name?
Something.
I
You
hate
know?
that.
Muffless.
I hate so much when you have two wrestlers like Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. They
Right.
don't have a fucking name. They're just Shinsuke and Cesaro. It's like, give them a name because it
Right.
doesn't feel like they care.
Well,
Right.
exactly, and it doesn't make me as a viewer want to care because I just assume they're going to lose the titles in a month or two.
Right.
Exactly.
Whose merch am I buying? Am I buying Nakamura
Right.
or am I buying Cesaro?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know? I
Like-
bought bar merch, but I can't buy Cesaro and Nakamura.
You
merch
can
because
talk
they don't
shit
have-
all you want about the Killer Bees, but at least they fucking had a name.
Right.
Mhm.
You know,
So, but this
Don't
was
ask the
actually
Sheik though.
this
Yeah.
was the only match that was actually passable as a match. They had tags in and out, and they actually had
Yeah.
a real match.
But-
going
I
on.
wrote this down. I said, "This is the longest match I
Right.
think of the night." Besides the later on,
But you get to the finish,
Jesus.
and Rousseau leaves another raspberry in it for you,
Chronic wins, picks up the titles,
and then because it's Vince Rousseau booking, our commentators have to say, "Does
Are
this
they
mean they're the champions?"
champions? Right.
Exactly.
But
And
we
I wrote-
also get to hear
That is
Mike
Excedrin
Tenay.
headache number Russo.
We get to hear Mike Tenay for the 16th time say, "It's New York rules."
Now, I don't know about you guys, but like at this point, especially, I wrote, no wonder the WWE changes their mat every match because
Right.
that blood
Mhm.
on that fucking mat looks fucking
It
horrible.
looked like Tammy, because Sonny was already in WCW at this point. It looked
Yeah.
like Tammy Lynn Cinch came out, had her period on the mat, and walked away. I'm not even gonna lie.
No, it did. It looked like shit. It's like
It
Yeah.
did. It did. Very Bush
So-
League.
Okay, match ends, and we actually go backstage, and Vince Russo's sitting in the corner pouting. Why? Because Eric Bischoff is in charge now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Because
hold on.
you
Now
know,
here comes a bus.
right?
Here comes
Right.
a bus
Because
behind
a
the
limo's
limo.
too small. A limo is too small, bro.
Jesus
And-
Christ.
So as you said, Archie, now Eric Bischoff is in charge of the show, and apparently he's not a good boss either because we're going to get to this battle royal, and he has no idea who's coming into his arena. Like this
Right.
guy, clearance is
But-
not a thing on this
But the
evening.
stupidity of it all is Russo is sitting there pouting. Like, why does Bischoff get to be in charge? Because you just screwed the whole show, bitch.
What?
For
But here's
2 hours.
Here's the problem. Here's the biggest thing. And I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit to the end, and we'll get there in a minute. But like, you've had the New Blood get their ass beat.
Right. They never
Entire-
joined together and beat anybody up.
No, and here's the problem. Not only did they get beat, but they got beat decisively.
Decisively,
In
yes.
minutes.
All
In
night long.
minutes.
So now we're gonna have a battle royal.
And did that ring look fucking full or what?
You know what?
Ah,
I
New
wrote
Blood.
on here. I said, no wonder WWE doesn't do battle royals like this anymore. They do the
Mhm.
Royal Rumble because this, like, what the fuck do you
It was
do?
11 on 11. It was 11 on 11. Where the
Mhm.
winner gets a world title shot at the Great American Bash. Okay, fine. But you hear Russo yelling to Bischoff, don't accept this, don't accept this, don't accept this. And Eric Bischoff is sitting there with that shit-eating grin going, you got it. And I'm like, wait, so there's already dissension between that? I mean, like, wait, I can't. What's going on?
They've been allies for 2 months,
Right.
and we're already going to kill this.
You know?
Well, and here's the thing. Again, a good wrestling show is you have the faces, you get beat down, and they have to fight back from something.
Mm-hmm.
They've already won all night long.
Right.
Now
and
you're
I
giving
really
them a world title shot at the end.
And the battle royal itself was such a clusterfuck.
Well, this is all right.
God.
Mike Tenay points out that there are referees outside of the ring for this match. So it's the end of New York rules, bringing the grand total to 17 times said on the show.
Good job, Mike.
In an hour
and 30 minutes, sure. That means it was said at least every 8 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say less than every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean,
ridiculous. We're gonna get some bullshit because the new blood has looked bad tonight. They're about to look even fucking worse because not only is it a battle royal, but they come out with weapons.
Right.
Tammy Sitch has a fucking steel pipe.
Right. and a dress that looks ill-fitting.
Yes.
She was not at her best. She was not at her best in these WCW days.
The sun had set on sunny at this point.
Yep, there were no more sunny days.
No, there wasn't.
Then the bus lets out, and it's all new blood guys we haven't seen in months. And this is the line I wrote down. Hey, look, it's Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah,
because just out of nowhere, there's Ahmed Johnson.
hasn't been on this show in 3 months.
Right.
No, and not only that, but I don't mean to bring up topical stuff here, but the fact is that here comes Harlow and Norman Smiley.
Right.
Fuck it. Group all the black guys together.
Right. Were they sitting together too on the bus? I don't understand.
Right. Were they in the back of the bus?
Right.
New
York rules, bro.
And if you thought that this couldn't get any worse, here comes Tank Abbott.
Here comes Tank. Yes, here comes Tank.
If
the man that Russo pitched to be the WCW champion,
to beat Goldberg.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing: if clusterfuck was in the dictionary, Tank Abbott should be right there in the picture.
Right.
Thumbs up.
Now, here's the problem. Here's my biggest issue. According to the commentators, it is now 20 members of the New Blood versus 8 members of the Millionaires Club.
Right. But then
with weapons.
But then what was for a split second was the bright shining moment of this episode.
Well, first we go back to the limo, and here comes the guy in leather pants.
Right.
And Shivani in his second stupid comment of the evening says, "We don't even know, is it a man?" Those are some pretty fucking thick calves there, Tony.
Well, no. Hang on a second here.
What kind of women is Tony hanging with?
Because we have Medusa that shows up before this point.
Right.
We have Mona and Asia.
Right.
We have Jim Duggan.
I don't even know what team Jim Duggan was on because he's not a millionaire.
I don't either. He comes out with a goddamn 2x4. Goddamn.
He was looking for that WCW TV title again.
It was literally like, holy shit! Like, and now here comes this, and now here comes
yes.
So,
right, but then the saving grace should have been who comes out last.
Mm-hmm.
The best possible scenario.
He's not last.
Savage.
And can we mention just briefly, just to put this into context, theoretically, by what was established at the beginning of said battle royal, none of these people are officially in this battle royal.
Right.
None of them were in the ring when the bell rang.
Right.
So now here comes Randy Savage.
Uh-huh.
He beats the hell out of everybody, which I'm marking for. I'm like, great, Randy Savage is back. And then he goes to jump over the top rope, which would have eliminated himself like he did in the Royal Rumble all those years ago. He doesn't. Shane Douglas stops him. He smacks Shane Douglas across the head.
And I wrote down here, I think that Shane Douglas fucked up Randy's spot he wanted to do.
Right.
So Macho Man goes through the middle rope, and Tony Schiavone says he's been eliminated. So I go, is this New York rules?
Right, yeah.
Right. So then So then,
At this point, this is West Virginia rules.
Right.
now we come down to the last four. It's
Yep.
Flair, Hogan, Kidman, and Shane Douglas.
Which wasn't by accident because they've got the two biggest matches coming up on Sunday.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get.
Which is fine. That's
Right.
Pro Wrestling 101. That's
Right.
fine.
But then, after everything we've seen tonight, here comes Bret Hart
Right.
And I'm going to get to my biggest issue with this.
to
I will
hit
too.
Hogan in the head with a chair
Right.
when they know they can't pay this off.
Okay, there
Right.
you go. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right.
You
I'll
can't
let
do
you go,
anything but
Aaron,
use that
or
chair.
Nate. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Absolutely. You brought Bret Hart in for absolutely no reason because this guy can't wrestle anymore.
Right.
Concussion.
Right.
His concussion and such. And again, like Kyle said, you have booked this huge angle here with Bret Hart, and you're
Hulk
never
Hogan.
going to pay
Right.
this off.
And we knew we weren't getting Hogan versus Hart to begin with, so you just gave us more sour grapes,
Exactly.
you know?
And that's the thing. It's not like it was questionable whether Hart could do it or not. You knew. You
Nate,
fucking knew that he couldn't do
how
it.
long, at that point, how long had Bret Hart been in the ring, been wrestling for?
Mm,
Would you say 20 years?
maybe a little more. I think
Okay.
he made his pro debut in 79 or 80.
Okay. And this was 2000.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, 20 years.
So let me get this right. Bret Hart, who is a veteran and whose contract basically bankrupted WCW, is a part of the New Blood. When he's the biggest millionaire out of all of them.
Right, exactly.
That made no sense. Like, again, okay, you can't pay us off with Hogan and Hart, but also him being on the New Blood makes no... Even if they could have, why is Bret Hart a part of the New Blood?
Right.
You know?
It's a swerve just to have a
Bro.
swerve.
Right, it was a swerve just to have a swerve. Now we get back to the match. Flair caved in Shane Douglas's chest with a chop. That looks stiff as hell. And
It probably was.
eliminates him, and he wins the New York Rules Bret Hart Invitational Battle Royal.
You know, and I wrote here, I said Flair, and I know that it was the blood from the mat and everything. Flair looks like he's been through a war.
Mhm.
Nothing else. Like Ric Flair always looks like he has been through a damn huge war when he wins.
And in the meantime, Hogan and Kidman are fighting on the outside.
Everybody's
Paige
dying.
and Jarrett.
Everybody's working stiff as hell on the outside, Nate. They're
Yes,
killing each
and
other.
You're like you said a few times in the show. You are in one segment. You are fitting in like 6 weeks worth of television.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, I have to say real quick, I forgot something with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Fucking Bobby has another great line. He said, "Oh, here comes the human toilet plunger."
Oh, Bobby, God rest his soul. I miss
Now,
him so much.
I need an explanation of something. I asked Kyle about this last night in the group chat. I'll ask you as well, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Savage goes over and helps Hulk Hogan up.
Yes.
Hulk Hogan's down on the floor after being beaten up by Kidman. And it's ironic to me that Randy Savage is wearing the outfit that he's wearing on the cover of the Be a Man Hogan
Yes.
Hulk.
Yes.
rap album. It's like, so wait, you just got done cutting your rap album and you came to save the guy that you're calling out.
Yeah.
You know?
and not even just that, but they point at each other. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's dissension. There's a possibility.
Right.
But we never see Savage again.
No, it's not. That was his last contracted obligation to be there.
And did you guys notice that there was they cut to Hogan and Savage when they weren't supposed to? Did you guys notice there was a spot on this show that was supposed to happen that didn't?
Which is?
Go back and watch, because Kyle, you made mention of it.
I don't want to watch it. Please
Kyle,
don't make me watch it again.
Kyle, you made mention of the fact that through this whole show, we never saw our champion. But we did. But
Really?
Yes, if you watch the end of the show, go back and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Paige and Jarrett are fighting on the scaffold.
Yes, and Arquette comes out.
Arquette comes out
Yes.
and falls into... This is one of the great botches of wrestling that never
Yep.
gets brought up. he fell into
into the pit.
He broke the fixed wood that they were supposed to fall through, and then the camera just cuts away. Because somebody was like, fuck.
And guaranteed they probably told Paige and Jarrett, just keep fighting up there, don't come down.
And they never brought it up again. Those two were supposed to go through that.
Yep.
But he came out, overstepped, and fell into it, and then they were just like that is one of the greatest botches that no one ever brings up.
No.
In the history of wrestling.
I applaud David Arquette for getting back into wrestling and doing death matches over the last couple of years. I'm busting to see this documentary that they filmed on him. Mm-hmm. But his time in WCW, my God.
And let's be honest, because I actually have mad respect for him. Mm-hmm. Yes. None of the bullshit in his WCW run was his fault.
No, you didn't want it.
I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the night he won the title.
Bits and pieces. I don't remember it completely.
And this is a story actually Flair told.
Okay.
Flair said, or David Arquette, who, honest to God, respects the business. That's why I say I have respect for him, because he didn't come in like one of those celebrities that thought he was bigger than the wrestlers or anything like that. He's a fan. Right. Like Mr. T or like Mike Tyson, he's a fan. And they told him they were going to put the belt on him. And he literally went to the guy that he knew was the perennial champion.
Right.
And he asked Ric Flair, he said, I feel uncomfortable with this because I think the boys are going to be pissed that they're putting the belt on me. What should I do? And Flair said, it's okay, kid. It's just a work.
Right.
But tonight, go to the bar and buy everybody around.
Right.
Arquette went to the bar and picked up the whole tab for the whole night.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And to me, again, like I said, I will never... although the booking was silly and they never should have put the belt on him, it wasn't his fault. And he did exactly what he should have done. In that, I have mad respect for David Arquette.
Definitely.
The fact that he took all of his money that he earned from WCW and gave it to Brian Pillman and Owen Hart's family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a class act, man. And I know we give him shit. We give him shit. But the fact is that, like, I don't know. You can't find a better class than that.
The thing I don't understand, though, the end game was to put the title on Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
of
fine.
course.
The belt was on Jarrett to begin with when Arquette wanted. But you did it for a movie that had already been released.
Mm-hmm.
And Ready to Rumble was not going to be an Oscar winner in any way, shape, or form. So, like, okay, they wanted to put the world title on Batista when he made Guardians of the Galaxy. So when he walked the red carpet, the belt would be there on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Exposure. They wanted to put the belt on The Rock. So when he walked the red carpet during Jumanji and this and that, exposure. The movie already aired. It's already on cable.
And here's
Why
my
are
problem.
we putting the belt on a guy for no reason?
And here's the biggest problem is that all night they have said DDP has the most experience going into this match because he's already experienced it.
Right.
He was in a movie.
Right.
How is that experience?
Right.
Right. But that was a Russo written script. Get over that during the movie he took bumps and he did because it's real, but it's not real, bro. Don't worry, we'll get it over.
Yeah, this was essentially Russo's Zeus.
Yeah, but you know what? At least when they brought in Zeus, Tiny Zeus Lester, he actually did a decent job in a tag match against Hogan. They didn't do it for the world title at WrestleMania.
And he called Brutus Beefcake Barber.
And I don't know about you guys, but if you look at Zeus to David Arquette,
right?
Zeus looks intimidating
to this day.
Yeah, and that's not saying anything against David Arquette, but
no.
So do you guys? Are you guys like me? Is one of your 5 one of your top 5 favorite comedies of all time, Friday?
Yes.
Okay. Because it is one of the top 5 funniest movies ever made.
Oh, without a doubt. Ice Cube did an incredible job.
And I always said, I think that it would have been great if Tiny Lister, when he came back for that run in WCW in '96 when he was Z Gangsta, if he would have looked at Hogan and would have been like, "You want some, old man?" and Hogan would have been like, "No." Anyway,
I would have liked him to come out like as Debo and then Randy Savage and be like, "Bitch, you got knocked the fuck out."
And here's the biggest difference between the two. You have Zeus in like 89.
Yep.
21 years later, you're gonna have David Arquette and expect it to be the same.
Hold
it's
on,
like no, because in '89 people still believed.
Right, but what my point is though, did we see Zeus in anything else before No Holds Barred? He really wasn't like an accomplished actor to say, we know who Tiny Zeus Lester is. So for all anybody knew when this guy came out, this wasn't an actor coming out from the movie saying, "I want to fight Hulk Hogan." This was a legit fighter who was in the movie with Hulk Hogan.
Right.
But David Arquette, and again, love him. I love what he's done in the last couple of years. I want to see the documentary, and I don't blame him for anything that happened.
No.
But I could have seen if they would have went and gotten a guy that was on Thunder in Paradise with Hulk Hogan, one of the bodybuilders, you know what I mean, and at least passed him off as a wrestler. But it was David Arquette.
And here's the biggest thing between No Holds Barred, between the whole Zeus thing and everything that happened up till now, even Rocky 3,
right?
To this is in Rocky 3 and No Holds Barred, it was still treated as real,
right?
Even in Rocky 3, when Hogan is Thunderlips, he's like, God, man, why did you get so, he's like, it's,
it's for the crowd, right?
Yeah, it's for fun, but it never said like, oh, it's fake or whatever. In Ready to Rumble, they actively tell you,
right,
wrestling is fake, but this is real,
right?
And that's why
part of all this. We could have lived through the 2 or 3 weeks Arquette was champion. Poor Chris Kanyon had to get murdered off the top of that cage and through the damn walkway.
And I brought this up a while ago, and I want to bring it up again because we're talking about Slamboree and everything else. But I think it's very distasteful that Vince, and this is why I brought up earlier with Vince Russo glorifying everything else.
Right.
You pull that stunt not
Months
only
later.
in May,
right,
a year later, but you pull it in the same arena.
Yep.
Where you act like somebody was, severely injured.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was poking. He knew what he was doing, and he wanted to see who he could. Look, we all know that both Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, it's shock TV. They want to shock you. Eric Bischoff was a little more tame, though, and knew how to go about it in the right way. Who's the father of Stacy Keibler's baby? Not, Stacy Keibler got gangbanged and we're going to find out that she's got herpes now. You know what I mean? That Vince Russo would have went that way with it, So, which again, Russo was bad for this business. He proved it in the WWF, he proved it in WCW, and he proved it in TNA.
And he proved time and time again that work shoots are stupid.
Right.
Pro wrestling, it's not supposed to be. You're supposed to suspend belief for 2 hours.
Right.
When you bring too much real into it,
right,
and you bring too much into like anytime any of Russo's booking where it gave the impression that the writer, you would, God, it's even hard to describe. Like it's so convoluted and stupid, it's hard to describe. But in one of his shows, you would have a segment where they're talking about, I I'm not going to write you in to be the champion.
Right.
And then in the next segment, I have a fight that I'm supposed to now believe is real.
Right.
You can't conflate the two together.
Perfect example is Goldberg. When he turned heel, it was Goldberg went against the script.
Yes. So the rest of the show was bullshit. I should not have believed in any of that. And that's why, and I we're almost done here, and we're going to wrap it up. But the most effective work shoot ever done, to me, was the pipe bomb.
Yes.
Reason being, that promo is so perfectly crafted because Punk cuts a promo about politics, about behind the scenes things, but he never crosses the line into it being fake.
Right.
He never alludes to the fact that they booked John Cena to be the champion. Right. He alludes to the fact that they give him more opportunities, and more T-shirts.
Right.
That is the perfect work shoot because it never crosses the line where pro wrestling is a work.
Well, there's a video that I watched on Facebook recently. It's a Paul Heyman one-man show, and he's explaining things.
Yep, I've seen that one.
He talks about how Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker, and maybe it was real, maybe it wasn't,
which is fucking classic.
Oh, it is. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But then he talks about the night that he cut the promo on Vince McMahon stealing everything from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Vince told me, we just had the whole, disgruntled boss thing or whatever. You need to go out and cut a promo because people will believe it because it's Paul Heyman and he can't stand me. He's like, okay, do you want to know what I'm going to say about you? No, just go out and draw me money.
Right.
So he actually gave Paul Heyman the opportunity to go out and say whatever the hell he wanted.
Yep.
In the same regard, they handed CM Punk a mic and said, now you go out there for 15 minutes and say whatever the hell you want, but be civilized.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it was only when he went to the bullying campaign that they cut off the mic because maybe they felt that wasn't good for their image. You know what I mean?
Not only that, but it's also one of those facts that you look at Paul Heyman and you look at even CM Punk. They're the kind of guys that they know how to craft that and change it.
That
because
fine line.
It would have been easy because Paul Heyman even says it in that interview. He's like, I come out there and say whatever I want about Vince McMahon, but if I can turn it into
you made wrestling. The words were you made wrestling a dirty word. Mm-hmm. That was what he spun hard enough because it was a story. It broke on every news site. Wrestling can't be said anymore. They're superstars. He turned that into a storyline that people believed what he was saying. As a kid, I went, yeah, he did turn wrestling into a dirty word. Fuck Vince McMahon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Paul Heyman. I still do to this day. If I could be a manager, I'd want to be a cross between Paul Heyman and Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that fine line that you can cross and you can't cross and you got to do it. Russo never found that fine line.
No.
I made the mistake of letting the WWE Network continue to play for like 20 minutes after I got done watching the episode of Thunder we just reviewed. And within the first 10 minutes, Tammy Sytch came out and did her worst Sable impression, looking bad. Chris Candido won a quick match against a pretty decent wrestler he went up against, and he was the new Cruiserweight champion. And then they had Arn Anderson come out to fight David Flair.
Yep.
And all they kept talking about through the whole match was Arn Anderson has that bad left arm. If he gets hit the wrong way in the back of the neck, he could be paralyzed again. What does David Flair do? Hit Arn Anderson in the back of the head with a Statue of Liberty statue. And Arn Anderson is now out cold. And I hope he's not paralyzed. I'm like, do you really want to talk about this old veteran possibly being paralyzed right now?
Garbage.
He deserves better respect than that.
And not even just that, but so Ric Flair wins this match.
Right.
Okay, to have a number one contenders match at Great American Bash.
Never gets it.
No, never gets it. Not to mention this is the same show at the Great American Bash where Sting gets thrown off the fucking Titantron.
Right.
Or the Turnatron.
On fire.
So tell me again how Vince Russo isn't glorifying the fucking Owen Hart thing.
But came back the next night on Nitro like nothing ever happened.
Right. But yet, they sit there and tell you, when you go into that Thunder, you're like, oh, Ric Flair, we don't even know if he's going to come back.
Right.
What?
Right. All because
So
David
bad.
Flair turned on him.
It is so bad.
The same David Flair who turned on him months ago to become a psycho.
Yeah.
The same David Flair who turned on him 2 years ago with the NWO. So wait, his estranged son doesn't love him anymore? Ooh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We've not been here before.
Right. I mean, you've used the storyline. Look, if Shane McMahon right now came back, which he did, but he's doing Raw Underground, and beat the crap out of Vince McMahon, there's logic behind that.
Right.
They've had feuds.
Mm-hmm.
But if he comes back and hugs his father and tells him, I love you, Dad, I'm going to start questioning things. You know what I mean?
And that's the problem, is that I'm not going to sit here and we shit talked Vince Russo all night long, and you know what? I'm going to sit there and say that he had some great ideas,
but he also had great talent to run those ideas for him.
And he had a man named Vince McMahon that sit there and said, like Jim Cornette said, I'll take these 3 good ideas, but the rest of it is bullshit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
That was the problem with WCW. See, they told Vince Russo to work with Eric Bischoff. Bischoff working with Russo was actually his idea of just saying, let Russo do whatever he wants until they fire him again, and then I can have complete control. They never got to the point of firing him again. This company went out of business.
Yep.
Right.
In the same regard, in TNA, Dixie Carter told him, oh, do whatever you want.
Imagine that. You have a company. Like, I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I just want to bring this up real quick. You have a company, TNA, and you have Dixie Carter in charge. And Spike TV, your fucking TV provider, tells you, we will sign you and put you on our network. Just don't bring Russo. And you fucking do it.
You do it anyway.
The network for men didn't want the edginess of Vince Russo.
Damn it. What in the world are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
If nothing else can say about Vince Russo, the fact is, on that Brawl for All, Dark Side of the Ring, when he says, we will talk about anything but wrestling, shows you right there and then that this man does not give a shit about pro wrestling.
Or sports in general.
Yeah. Anything that's ever happened in that fucking ring.
I liken I liken Vince Russo. I put him as I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be politically incorrect in any way. But in like movies, that wimpy kid that gets picked last for sports or not at all, and then grows up hating sports and doesn't want to be a part of them. So he begins to try to dissect them. And like when people ask him, well, who's your favorite team? Oh, I hate sports. But in Vince Russo's case, he grew up wanting to be a wrestler. And people probably told him his whole life, you're too small. You can't. It won't work. You're clumsy. You're this. So in his regard, it was, well, now I'm going to destroy the thing that they won't let me do.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that was the thing.
And thanks to him.
He did.
Thanks to him today, I have to fucking put up with a mimosa match or whatever the fuck it is.
The Mimosa Mayhem match.
Yeah. So
brought to you by the demo god, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, that's stupid too.
Because it's New York rules, bro.
Yeah.
And you can hear more of this type of topic on 60 Minutes or Less.
This Sunday, we will be talking about AEW, WWE, NXT.
Knowing us, it's probably going to be 60 minutes or more, but
definitely.
Especially if I'm in there.
60 minutes, give or take.
Old man yelling at the clouds.
I don't mean to put Nate on the spot, but Nate, with everything that's going on, with everything in pro wrestling today, with the Roman Reigns and everything with AEW, will you come on 60 Minutes or Less and share some of your opinions?
We'd like you on this Sunday because there's a lot going on this week.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions on everything, my friend.
Yes, there is. And that being said, I have to put it out there. I gave this episode of Thunder One Jeff Farmer yep.
I gave it -5. Jeff Farmer
Minus
yeps.
Farmer. It's not a yep. It's a pill.
Yeah? Okay.
I gave it fucking -5 Jeff Farmer nopes.
No, oh God, we got the nopes in there.
Yeah, oh my God.
No,
God,
this was
bad.
This was bad.
It was.
Every time it looked like there was a bright spot, like the Hogan Steiner match, the Chronic Tag Team match, Randy Savage coming back, Bret Hart coming back. It led to another middle finger.
Well, it's so much potential and so much booked incorrectly.
Look at what I just said.
Archie.
A
Archie
show
said
that
it
had
best.
Randy Savage, Scott Steiner, Hulk Hogan, and Bret Hart on it is bad.
Archie said it best when he watched this show. He messaged us online and he's like, "Guys, just finished Thunder, and even the best parts were bad."
Right. Because you're getting Hulk Hogan versus Scott Steiner. It ended in a minute and a count out. Wait, like really?
And I will say, I don't know if you. I want to end on something positive. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think the two best things about this show were Ric Flair and Mike Awesome.
I will say Bobby Heenan and Mike Awesome.
Okay, yes, Bobby too. Yes, absolutely. Bobby.
It was very nice to hear Bobby again.
Right, being Bobby, real Bobby,
and you could tell he hated this shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
As you watch it, you could just tell he was like, "This is fucking garbage."
Yep, it's why. When you brought it up, when he says, "You really think that's what it means?" It's, in his words, what he was really saying is, "You really want to try to pull this shit off,
right?
You don't just want to sit here and wait to see what it
Motherfucker, I've been in this business 40 years, and this is garbage."
You have the greatest, and I know we wanted to end on something positive, but fuck, guys, you have the greatest fucking commentator, greatest fucking manager, and you have him delegated then from, like, I think after this point, he's on Saturday night.
Yeah, with Scott Hudson.
Yep, I think that was Russo's way of getting rid of him, so he didn't have to deal with him, because Saturday night was not under Russo's regime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why would you put somebody who has that much?
He called them dinosaurs. Everyone, Flair, Hogan, Savage, they were dinosaurs to him, and he didn't want them in his business.
You know what, Vince Russo? You are a worthless piece of shit.
Fuck you, Vince Russo.
Exactly. You don't fucking You're not fucking. You're not worthy to lick the fucking shit off of fucking Hulk Hogan's fucking boot.
You're not worthy to book a indie show in the middle of West Virginia at a firehouse.
You're not
during
fucking,
COVID.
Yeah, you're not
COVID.
You're not worthy to fucking book a goddamn CZW show.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
You fucking worthless
What does it
piece
say?
of shit. You fucking scumbag.
Tony Khan was asked before AEW even began, "Are you possibly going to hire Vince Russo?" And Tony Khan's words were no, and nothing else.
Yeah, no.
Good.
he legit, that, like, Hogan was bad. He really went off on Hogan. He's like, "No, he's a racist piece of shit. I'd never hire him." But when asked about Vince Russo, "You going to hire Vince Russo?" No. Can we move on now?
I'm gonna put it this way, Vince Russo. Here's a little bit of a fucking plug for you. You go ahead and sit there on your fucking the brand and everything else, because you know what? You're nothing more than a fucking scumbag. You're a fucking piece of trash. I hope to God that fucking Jim Cornette fucking gets you in a fucking ring one day.
One day.
And beats the
one day.
Fuck out of you.
One day, I hope Jim Cornette shoves his tennis racket so far up your ass that you look like a lollipop.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I will fucking pay for fucking Jim Cornette's bail.
I'll pay $200 for a ringside seat to watch that match. I'll buy Kyle and Nate a seat too next to me so we can watch that match and cheer.
Just eat our popcorn,
right? And woo, yes.
And because he has, I hear the passion in Kyle's voice about this.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, to end this week's edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, I want to hear your. Wait, before we do that, do either one of you have anything to say to our listeners? Because I'm letting Kyle sign off tonight. So,
I think we plugged everything during the shameless plugs.
We did. If in all seriousness here, guys, we are still in a fight with this whole COVID situation. So please.
And ironically,
they're coming after us.
Ironically,
no, it's mine. Yeah, it's outside my door.
No, we look. Regardless of what your feelings are on the whole situation, masks or no masks or anything else, it's not about just you. Right. The world doesn't revolve around just us. It's about everybody. If nothing else, without getting into too much details with Nate and everything else, if nothing else, it is a prime example that what we do affects so many people.
Yes.
So please, if nothing else, do it for those people.
And as my sign off, I will say, and Kyle said he didn't want to get into it, but I will. Those of you that are members of our Facebook group know why the show has had a couple week absence, and that is because my wife's grandmother passed away.
Yes.
And to what Kyle was kind of alluding to, and I'm just going to do this very briefly. We're not going to get on. We're going to end the show. But to put it in perspective with the virus, with what's going on, my wife is from a very small town in Kentucky, literally in a holler in the mountains. Her grandma was in said town of about 2,000 people in a nursing home that's been on lockdown since April. And probably because of an irresponsible person that worked at the nursing home, someone in the nursing home contracted COVID. Henceforth, her grandmother contracted COVID. And yes, she did already have congestive heart failure. She's had health problems. But she did test positive for COVID 3 times. They do 3 tests to make sure. So no doubt in my mind that although she did probably not die of that particular virus, I am positive that much like pneumonia would, much like anything else would, COVID contributed to her passing away. So what I'm saying to you is, like Kyle said, and like Dr. Phil would say, it ain't about you.
Right.
Exactly.
You have to think of my grandma, who's still alive, thank God, is 95. And we haven't literally let her leave her house since March. And you have to think about these things and keep them in the back of your mind. Why? And I'm not preaching, and I'm not hating, and like Kyle said, mask, no mask, whatever.
Went out yesterday.
It's not about you.
Thursday to Friday.
It's about those people that are at risk, and that's that.
Just be safe and be normal. Be respectful to other people.
We have the option to. We have the chance to save people that could pass away that shouldn't pass away.
Right.
If that right there isn't enough for you to realize how serious this is, because I don't care about what the survivability rate is of this virus or anything else. The fact is, one death is too many.
Absolutely.
Especially if it could be prevented.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt.
And with that, we want to thank you for joining us on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And I'm going to let Kyle end the show this week with his best fuck Vince Russo.
Vince Russo, you fucking little dick cocksucker who sat there and wanted to decide that you wanted to play fucking pro wrestler. Play. This isn't fucking playing. This is fucking real. You ask any fucking buddy, Chad Austin will guarantee you that it ain't fucking playing. Anybody who's ever stepped into that fucking ring will tell you that it's not fucking playing. Because Steve Austin broke his fucking neck. Owen Hart gave his fucking life for this business. Rick Rude gave his fucking life for this business. Eddie Guerrero, I can go fucking down the list. But you fucking dickless little cocksucker decided, like, oh, I'm going to fucking play pro wrestling. No. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck Ed Ferrara. I hope you both get what you fucking deserve.